1325 is about women, but it's also about the excluded, because there's a general principle here. Women are claiming that within any concept of democracy, they have the right to participate. You're not giving us anything special. You're just making it possible for us to have the rights that citizens should have. And so that has to change too, that whole notion that we are supplicating the states to let us into the act, so to speak. There's the same thing for many minorities around the world, that the Native Americans, indigenous people all over, are not part of the national security apparatus. They are being protected, and they're being protected out of their rights. I used to call that the protection racket, which they had in the 1930s. The gangsters would come around and say, pay us some protection money, and the storekeepers would say, but nobody's going to hurt us. And, we will if you don't pay us the money. That's exactly the way that the state security system works. It's a protection racket. So this is a long way of saying that the way to get 1325 implemented is through civil society. And some of the groups that I started to allude to before, such as the Global Network of Women Peacemakers and Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, the oldest and one of the newest of NGOs, both of which are worldwide, all cultures, all ideologies and so forth come into them. And they're pushing very hard for concrete steps. And what the Global Network has been doing for a number of years is bringing it down to the local community level and saying, getting women to understand that this, which virtually has the force, I forget what article it is of the Charter, but it virtually has, this, if it comes out of the Security Council, the force of international law. So according to international law, you have this right, and your nation is a member of the UN, therefore use it. And so they look at their own situation, the potential for forms of violence that could be avoided by other measures, and having women become part of the process of addressing those problems. In a lot of localities in very rural areas, as well as poor urban areas, and some with middle-class women in certain parts of the world, but they're looking at their own problems and seeing how they relate to the larger system, and taking on the struggle to empower themselves in the area where they can have some immediate effect. And I see this as the process through which we can implement 1325. And the proposal that I made a couple of years ago at a seminar in India was, it was a South Asian seminar. I said that we needed to have people's action plan, that the people themselves could, actions that people themselves could take without depending on the state, and that in order that the state might be ultimately brought into the process, if we could do this locally and regionally, because many of the local manifestations are in fact regional conflicts, but still regions are units in a way. So that, we would have the state being approached from two sides. And a number of us are starting to do more work on that. But the global network is working on it. But some of my Indian colleagues and I are continuing that work, and we're going to try to have a draft plan ultimately.